What's up guys, it's JX here, and today this video is based on what if Asta was evil part 1. I hope you guys liked my intro, by the way. It was really nice touch, I felt. I intend to make this series and have it become something continuous, but depending on the reception, it might be more or I might put out less. This will take place from the beginning, or chapter 1 of Black Clover, so episode 1, and how things would be different if Asta was actually evil. So before I actually get into this, I would appreciate if you guys can really show support. If you like this video, please like the video and subscribe if you're new, because I really want to be putting out Black Clover content overall for you guys. And yeah, let's just get straight into the video. Firstly, Asta at the age of 15 was beginning to feel sick and tired, always being called a peasant and people wishing death upon him, while always praising Yuno. Yuno and Asta were very close. Ever since the day Asta saved his necklace, he was motivated to go forward, but he was seeing sudden changes in Asta's facial expressions compared to before. In fact, it didn't look welcoming at all. But Yuno at the time, he didn't pay too much attention to it. Asta is seen sitting outside looking into the sky, muttering, "What is my purpose? Me, a boy with no magic? Why was I created like this? Where did I even come from?" While this was happening, Yuno was doing the laundry, chopping wood for Sister Lily. Yuno looks at Asta and actually worries for him. The priest of the church really didn't take too much notice of Asta's gradual changes because he's just a boy with no magic, and even continues to praise Yuno about how special he is. Asta actually looks at the priest at this time, seeing the typical daily routine of ignoring Asta and praising Yuno, which made him mad. He loudly shouted randomly, "Magic or no magic, whatever you guys think in your head while you look at me, it does not even matter. I will be Wizard King and change the world from the inside. Then me and Sister Lily can be married." The kids and the priest laugh. Sister Lily looks to the side in embarrassment, knowing that could never happen. Yuno, on the other hand, actually goes on to question Asta. "You know I'm going to be Wizard King, but why do you think you're going to be Wizard King? You have no magic, you are obviously less skilled than me in every way, shape or form." And Sister Lily quickly intervenes and says, "Yuno, don't say that. As soon as he goes to the award ceremony and receives a grimoire, he'll be able to have magic then." Asta then gives a side smile, and the words he thinks in his head to himself, "Just you wait, Yuno." After this, Asta goes off to train. Physically training gets him away from everyone and allows him to concentrate on himself, displaying that even with no magic, he will aim to be the best of the best. During the award ceremony, while everyone's receiving their grimoire, Asta was the only one that didn't receive a grimoire, as we all know. But in this case, he was laughed at, mocked, seen as delusional, and guess what? Right next to Asta, he saw Yuno getting this legendary grimoire from the first Wizard King, the 4th leaf grimoire. He couldn't even speak. Everything that occurred at the church happened there. In fact, his whole life, it was always Yuno receiving praise and him being mocked. He was bored of the same old story. In fact, he was beginning to despise Yuno for this, and wished nothing but the worst for Yuno at this stage. He hated this lifestyle. He warned Yuno to wait and reminded himself the fact that them two are actually rivals and he would catch up. Yuno actually doesn't say anything in return. In fact, he felt like it wasn't his place to say anything. When everyone left, he went alone. He trained, and for the first time in his life, he felt it wasn't possible to be Wizard King. He shouted in rage, angrily, and had a sense of revenge, but he doesn't even know against what. He didn't even believe he was human at this point. Because of how normalized magic is in the society, why is he the only alien? Why is he the odd one out? But then Asta, being himself, slaps his face and says that he will never give up his dream of changing the world from the inside. If it's not through becoming the Wizard King, it will be through something else. Through this, he goes on a tree to encourage himself and shout from the treetops. But then he sees Yuno, thinking to himself, he's such a hog for attention, he is a punk for even forgetting they have a rivalry. When he mentioned it, Asta sees Yuno end up in trouble. Yuno was being attacked, and even though Asta despised Yuno, it is actually the closest friend he had. He is someone that's been with Asta since the beginning. He charges into the scene to help Yuno, similar to how he helped him years ago. Yuno was caught off guard, and as Asta was about to attack, he begins to think of a strategy. Before, he would charge in and hope for the best, but Asta has become more of a strategic person, acknowledging his strengths and weaknesses, and all of the outside thinking of how to become a Wizard King seemed to kind of help in the situation. So he grabs a rock, throws it at him, which allows the user, the villain with the chain magic, actually miss and puts his aim off, while the villain merely smiles at Asta, realizing someone like him with no magic will never even be able to win or touch him. He then goes on to dodge all the chains that's thrown at him, but as he faked a punch and goes for a leg sweep, the chains saved the man, and that was the first time Asta felt magic actually hit him, actually hurt him. He realized in that frame of a second the difference of having magic and no magic. He was laying on the ground, injured, and was even stepped on by the villain, repeating the words useless to him. Asta reached a point of despair. Yuno was in fact shouting at Asta for coming in so recklessly and said he had a plan. Asta, in deep despair, heard no words from the outside, but in fact he heard a voice within him repeating the words destroy, destroy, destroy. Asta was confused where it came from and even looked up to see if he could find it, where the voice is coming from, left, right, up, down. But there it was, a grimoire. At first he didn't even know if it was his, but as he saw it coming towards him, he just had the feeling, a sensation that told him, this is yours. He felt blessed for the first time in his life. In fact, he was laughing out loud. The villain, who could not even see the grimoire, while stepping on Asta, was puzzled, confused as to what was even going on. He stepped back to check his surroundings, and suddenly he saw a grimoire coming towards the young boy, and as it passes him, he is totally confused. You can see the raw, sick smile from Asta, almost demonic, and as this was occurring, Asta repeated the words destroy, destroy. At this point, the villain attacks Asta, scared of what he's planning or what he's doing. But Asta pulls out a sword and then cuts the chains that were coming towards him, and he begins to walk slowly towards the villain, and the villain is walking backwards, and then he trips. Asta, while the villain is on the ground, hits the villain with the side of the sword, so this knocks the man out. Obviously, Asta doesn't actually know how to use a sword, nor has he seen one, so he thought you have to hit them with the flat side. Asta then struck him again. Even though he was already knocked out, Asta looked like he wanted to actually kill the person. In fact, he struck him 3 more times, and it looked like the villain is even almost in near death. Whereas he was going through the 4th swing, intervened as the magic was freed due to him being knocked out, and actually held Asta back. He felt fear as Asta has completely changed. As Asta was being held back, it seemed as if he returned to normal, confused on what's happened, and the last thing he remembered was the Grimoire coming towards him. Tells Asta he understands how he feels and that he knew Asta would get a Grimoire in the end. Asta questions him, "Do you remember our promise all those years back?" Asks, "What promise?" Asta then walks away from the whole situation, away from the scene, and said, "That's all I needed to know." And that's the end of part 1. I really hope you guys enjoyed this What If Asta Was Evil video, as it was fun as hell to make. You really have to think outside the box with this one, but at the same time, keep in line with the story. As I said guys, if you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for watching this video, and as I say to my new and old people, Njana.